a lot is done underwater, and we're not in touch with our feeling, and our modus operandi or default is to safeguard what is working, and thereby limiting ourselves in exploring and reaching out for more and better. Comfort zones shrink by themselves.
And the secret sauce is love, believe it or not. Because when you look at art, when you play a game, you basically, even through technology, you can sense the feelings and emotions that people who have developed it had. And I can tell you that those are not just words.
Welcome to another episode of the Love Not Fear podcast, the guest edition. With me is Natalia Matveeva. Did I pronounce it right, Natalia?
Yes, thank you.
Natalia and I met recently. We've never met in person, but Natalia was a guest on the Global AI Summit, where she held a talk about AI. And during that talk, there were some elements that really triggered me, and that really evoked some emotions as well. So after that, I immediately reached out to Natalia and said, "Oh, I would really like you to appear in this podcast." So in this podcast, let's delve a little bit deeper into what happened in your career and what is your take on what is going on in the AI world. You are known to be a very good, or have very explicit ideas about that. So I'm more than curious to learn about these. But to paint a picture, Natalia, you call yourself a serial entrepreneur and have been in the entrepreneurial world for nearly 20 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, over 20 years.
And what was your first venture?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. And I love the name of the podcast. That's why I said yes right away, because I think that if we all learn to do whatever we're supposed to do with love, be it within the family, chores, or in our businesses, or in our lives, or working for somebody, if we do something with love, for love, and around people we love, we can create amazing things that can change the world to be a better place for all of us. And I guess for over 20 years of my entrepreneurial journey, what I can tell you is that every experience I've had as an entrepreneur, I could see that things that are done with love would work out. I can give you an example. My first business was game development and publishing house. We've developed over 80 titles. And along the way, we figured out the secret sauce, how to make amazing games that hit the top on Apple Store, on Yahoo Games, and other platforms. And the secret sauce is love, believe it or not. Because when you look at art, when you play a game, you basically, even through technology, you can sense the feelings and emotions that people who have developed it had. And I can tell you that those are not just words. Every title every game that we've created with an amazing team of professionals. But if those professionals did not love the game, did not love the creation of that game, it would be a perfect, unbelievable failure with no bugs, amazing graphics, unprecedented programming, and no interest to users.
Yep.
And we had it again and again and again. And then we changed how we create teams. we started to create teams not based on their professional skills only, but based on their interest in creating a certain game. And we had hundreds of game design documents for different projects, and we would start and create only those that we could find the teams for, that people would vote for, the people who worked for us. That made the whole difference.
Yeah, amazing story. So you would basically give more power to the teams to develop in a direction or even the end product that they can come up with, instead of designing it on a storyboard and then maybe deliver a product that is perfect but lacks a soul. Is that correct?
Exactly. You pointed it right, because I think that love in our heart is basically a connection to our soul. And we're all human beings who have souls. And we all need more love. And not in the terms that, oh, I love you, I will do anything for you, but in terms, when we create, what are we contributing to our creation? Is it just our brain? Is it just our time? Or is it our heart and our soul? And this contribution makes it into a beautiful creation that people want and need, or a beautiful creation that nobody wants. And unfortunately, we don't see many mentors. I don't see many mentors who help people create with love, who teach how to create with love. And that's exactly what we need now, because if we look at the technology right now, we have AI, right? And other technology. And technology at the moment goes through leaps of exponential growth. And it's and we as humans can barely catch up, because human psyche, human mind, and human body develops in a linear progression. And we are lacking the inner growth that is required in order to create and manage technology with exponential growth at a level that we operate it instead of it operates us.
Do you think it has to do with upbringing? Is there something fundamentally wrong with the way we raise our kids?
I don't think it's the way we raise our kids. I think it's the way that society is built for creating something only for material revenue, like for revenue, not for making this world a better place, and not with love. Again, if we look at everything like fast food, it's food lacking love. Because if you compare it to homemade food, even simplest homemade food, it's a great difference.
To me, it seems like you need to get started. Once, maybe in your business, if you're starting to do business in another way, then you see more of that. Then you see patterns everywhere. And the same goes with food.
Mm-hmm.
If you shy away from pre-packed fatty foods that are omnipresent and cheap and taste really good, but really look into what else is available, then that opens up the eye to wanting to explore more. At least that's for me. But I find it with many new things I try, I just need that nudge to take the first steps, and then I'm interested, I'm startled, and I'm curious about what's more. So do you have any tips for people that maybe we can keep it to business even? Do you have any tips to look at your business in a new way, in a different way? Maybe even using AI.
I think especially using AI, we need to add more of who we are, of what is actually differentiates you from 8 billion people.
Mm-hmm.
Because this world doesn't need sameness. It wasn't made for sameness. Even the fingertips of 8 billion people are different. Now imagine your skill sets and I call it your superpower. If you look at all different skill sets you have and abilities and talents and gifts, and you put them together and you see the core of them, you can find your superpower, your unique ability that you were born to bring to this world. And if you take this superpower of your business and the superpower of your industry and combine them into an ikigai of superpowers, you can create something out of this world, but something for this world that it needs. And I truly believe in uniqueness, not by coloring your hair or having a super nice car, but I believe that the uniqueness that we need to show to the world is our creation from our inner superpower, but aligned with what the industry needs and users need, customers, and what your business can actually be great at, like better than anyone else around you. And it's not about competing with other companies. It's about when you bring your true self, your true business idea, and align it with the needs of this world, you're not competing against your competitors. You're adding to their products and products of others. And together it works like a Swiss clock, on time, providing what people need, what this planet needs. Because let's face it, right now we need AI not to kill this world. We need AI to save it from all the mistakes we have created in the past 200 years that led this world to the situations that we are in right now, in terms of ecology, in terms of politics, in terms of education, and other things. AI can be the best helper that we have at the moment. But again, we need to see how we can merge technology and us. If we don't create this mindset leap to the quantum state of seeing what we create and how it's going to influence the world in a year, in a 2, or in a 5, we will create more mistakes with the unprecedented technology, which we don't want. So right now, as human beings, we need to create the leap from the linear mindset to the quantum mindset, so that we see the connections of what we create, why we create it, and what kind of consequences there might be in order to create something for the good of this world.
Wow, I have to reflect on that. What you're saying is that the AI could be a booster of Ikigai, but AI in the wrong hands, in the wrong direction, could also be an accelerator of evil.
The funny thing is not so much evil as when we come back to love. If we don't love ourselves, if we don't love people, we create something to manipulate people instead of acting in the best interest of all, in the best interest of nature. If you love nature, if you connect to nature, you cannot wrong it. You cannot create something that will ruin it. If you love somebody, truly love somebody, you can't hurt people. Those people, you would take their best interest as your own. And that is why if we take AI and we subtract love, we will eventually see the merge of people with technology and becoming robot-likes in order to advance faster and faster in a way. However, if we take humans and if we change our mindset from a linear and revenue-seeking now to quantum mindset that takes into account that this planet is the planet we're going to live on. These people are the people we're going to work with and provide for. And create this and manage the gap between the technology and us with adjusting our mindset. Then we can create amazing things with AI. And adjusting the mindset and doing things from your heart with love and for love. Those two things are key in order to make sure that AI is our friend and not doesn't become our enemy or even a weapon in some hands.
There's two limitations. There's only one planet, and people have a limited time on this earth. And that somehow is not the way we treat our lives, we treat our planet. What are your ideas on how this can change, and will it change in time?
I think if we connect with our higher self, we realize that this life is not the only life we have. That maybe on some quantum level, we have 10,000 or even more ways of living this life. And if we're able to see what we can actually achieve instead of scrolling and looking at on Instagram, spending time hours on Facebook and other distractions. Because let's face it, all the distractions we have and all the mistakes you make are not coming from having too much love for ourselves. If we love ourselves, like if I love myself, I want this life to be the life where I realize my highest potential, where I create something for the people I love, where I create something for the nature, for giving me everything that I need, where I create something for communities that help me become who I am right now. Giving back becomes essential, becomes our vibe that we cannot get rid of. Because we all remember the time when we fell in love for the first time. How did it feel? It felt like you have wings. You can do anything and everything. And the energy was just so abundant. And possibilities looked enormous, like anything is possible. If we operate from the fear, from manipulation, being one and only, and this is life, I want to get everything out of it, not provide for it, but take everything out of it. This creates an unbelievable lonely feeling inside. And we know in every action we do along the day, in a day, we know exactly when we create something, when we do something out of love, and when we do something out of fear.
You think people are aware of that? I think a lot is done underwater and we're not in touch with our feeling, and our modus operandi or default is to safeguard what is working, and thereby limiting ourselves in exploring and reaching out for more and better. Comfort zones shrink by themselves. Staying in the comfort zone. And so basically what we think of comfort zone could actually be your prison cell.
Exactly.
Well, life is not happening there, but on the flip side of that.
You know, I can give you my own example. When I was 6 years old, I lived 2 kilometers away from the Chernobyl nuclear power station. And when it had the accident, 230,000 people died. Now, let me repeat it. 2 kilometers away.
Wow.
When the Japanese doctor who studied Hiroshima and Nagasaki came to study us, they gave us from 5 to 10 years to live. I was supposed to be dead by 17. I'm turning 45 in May. A lot of friends from that time have been dead for decades. The difference is that the only thing that keeps me alive is love. And it's not metaphorical. It's literal. Love has a different frequency. Yes, we are creating our comfort spaces. Yes, we're creating our own jails to protect what we have. But irony is we can have so much more if we stop being attached to things, people, places, businesses. No. Attachment is not love. Attachment is a fear-based longing for someone or something.
Yeah, can be based on shying away from loss.
Exactly, and you're totally right. It's hard to do. I'm not offering, unfortunately, easy solution, but I'm telling you, once you cross the bridge from fear and anxiety to love and contribution, you will look back and you will think, why haven't I done it before?
Do you have a restart routine, as I like to call it? Do you ever notice in yourself that, hey, I am acting out of fear, or I'm having anxious feelings that are based on nothing, or the first thought I have in waking up in the morning? What do you do to pull yourself out of that?
Again, that's why I mentioned the quantum mindset. The quantum mindset has 2 observers, not just one, but 2 observers. One observer tells you what's happening and its emotions, and the second observer just observes what you're feeling right now. So I can give you an example today. I asked a friend to help, and it was a stupid ask because somebody else could have done it easier and faster. And in the moment, I asked because it was easier for me on subconscious level, and I didn't realize it. And then I realized that this person, I just put some task that I need to do on that person's shoulder because he's my friend and he will do it for me. But actually, I did something that was easier for me, not for him, or it wasn't even his job or his task. And I wrote and I apologized. I said, thank you. This was an amazing lesson. I just caught my old pattern in making that I ask people things without considering their best interest. And it's an old pattern. And I've been working on it for some time, but it still pops up. And I don't blame myself. I don't shame myself. I share it openly and I go back and I say, hey, my old pattern. And we can do it. All of us can do it. In the moment, we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to perform and present ourselves on the best side of ourselves. We all have the shadows. The only difference is to acknowledge them, accept them, say thank you, and say sorry when we need to.
Yeah.
And it's in every single moment of life we can do that. And it's doable, possible, and trust me, it works.
What role does humor have in this? Because it all sounds very serious, but sometimes having a good laugh at yourself can be so so relieving.
I have an identical twin sister, and in our family, I am the clown. I might be very serious during this talk or when I present somewhere else. But trust me, as a person, if it wasn't for a humor, I don't know how I would manage most of the things in my life. Because eventually, I laugh and I say, God, this was an amazing experience. I did not want it. I did not ask for it, but it was the best for me at the moment. And I laugh at how my old patterns show up and how my monkey brain reacts and how I create situations where there should not be any situation, even out of small things. And humor is a key to look at life, not from the side of its burdens, but from the beauty it presents in teaching us in every moment through connecting through people. Right now, with you, I have a moment where we both learn something. I learn from you when you ask the questions. And even on a quantum level, you have some ideas in your mind, and we share the space. And I get those ideas unconsciously from your field, from your energy, from your vibe, from your love for the podcast you do, from your love for people who are gonna watch it and learn from it, from people who make this podcast happen.
Yeah.
And we're all in the same field for 10 minutes or an hour or a lifetime, it doesn't matter. But this exchange is what makes us better. And everything that you learn and you share with me becomes my germs that I learn on and that I can bring into my life and life of those that I affect. And this is the beauty of the podcasts as well, and your podcast. And the name for it, I cannot stop be amazed at how you are spot on.
Our listeners have heard the story many times, but I was actually, when I first heard of Love Not Fear, I tried for months to prove it wrong. And when I found I couldn't, that's why I kept on, I delved right into it. And I found it a great starting point to have all kinds of interesting conversations and read interesting books. And not to spoiler alert, these podcasts I do mainly for me. I am exploring these topics, and if people are interested to listen to it, and it gives me the chance to have amazing conversation with amazing people. And I just love people with passion or passion in general. I think passion is what makes the world go around. And I don't care where the passion comes from or where it's headed, but to me, the flip side of passion, the other side, dullness, blandness, routine behavior, that's my personal horror. How my horror would be that to spend 10 years and to have noticed that you haven't met new people, we went to new places, tried new foods, made new friends. That's literally horror for me. So I'd like to make the most out of it, and this is a way to shape that. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here.
This is an amazing podcast, and I agree with you on all your passions. I can second that. And thank you so much for having different people. Because when we connect and when something catches our interest, it means that there are thousands of other people who are interested in it and who are looking for exactly this solution, this tip, this moment to explore and take in order to create the change. So thank you for being that change and for making it happen.
I hope people find the braveness to start something new, and to laugh at themselves, at the mental plays that they play in their head of what could go wrong. I mean, if I when the thoughts I had before going on stage for the first time and do a public talk, they are absolutely crazy. What are the people going to do? Drag me off the stage and yeah, those things are not going to happen. So it's by actually zooming out and having fun at the whole process gives me the power to explore on new directions and build on that. So it's a gradual thing. But I still have the feeling that we have this conversation about our motives and our passions, but I haven't thoroughly introduced you, because you are a very successful business person, and we step right over that. No, we are. I didn't tell the viewers where you are, where you're from, and about your amazing success. How many people did you reach? Just to paint the picture, how many people did you reach with your most successful game?
So altogether, we had about 70 million users. So some of the games hit 2 million users within a week.
Yeah, that's that's pretty phenomenal, especially when you said it was with a product that lacked love. Or was this the product that?
No, this was the product made out of love and with love and
Okay,
for love.
okay,
That's how I figured out that love is an actual energy within every technology that we create. It doesn't
yeah.
matter AI or software or a device.
Can you?
Everything we put love into creates an amazing vibe.
So there were a few steps that took you from that venture to where you are now. Can you take us from the next step? What did you do after the gaming business?
So I sold my gaming business and I went into healthcare because I decided that at this point in life, with everything that is going on, and it was prior to COVID, um, I decided that this world needs a platform that will find the core reason for each each disease and make sure that people have a path to cure it, not just deal with the symptoms, but actually cure. When we find the core reason for cause and effect for something to exist, we can deal with it. And I went and created this platform exactly for finding the core reason for diseases, and then finding a way how people can manage it. Because let's face it, having a health problem is annoying and it's boring, and we have to do tons of things to get rid of it. But if those things work and work for you personally, because we are all different, as I said at the beginning, we're all different. We need to take our own body into consideration, our own physical and psychological state. As I said, I have identical twin sister. She has her own struggles due to the exposure to the radiation. I have my struggles, and we were in the same room at the same time when the accident happened. And it's different on the body. Each body is different, and each mental state is different. If you're in the right mental state, the universe conspires for you to find solutions for any disease and for any situation.
There are records of people that got a doctor's advice that was not correct and died within the time frame that the doctor said they would had to live. And in hindsight, when they did an autopsy, nothing was wrong. So I do believe that you can literally kill yourself with your thoughts. But on the other side of that, if you can kill yourself with your thoughts, wow, what can happen if you look at what you could do? And that's where this exploration is about.
I can give you another short story to explain the mindset and love aspect. I was driving to my office one day, and the road was slippery, and unfortunately the car was approaching, and I had to make a fast right turn to avoid collision, and I went off-road, and my car went flying 15 meters from the road with no signs on wheels on the ground, and I hit 2 trees, and the second with my with the ceiling of the car, and I crashed the car to the point of no restoration. But in the middle, when it was happening, I said to myself and to God, if I'm meant to die right now, I'm okay with it. I'd rather live, but I'm okay with it. If I'm meant to have injuries and then overcome it, I'm okay with it. I know you love me, and I know everything that happens is for the best. And at that moment, when I had this thought process, I felt a bubble around me. And when the car stopped after the crash, the only space that was intact was like a round shape around me in the car. Everything else, the ceiling, the doors, the front, the back, was smashed. And it was a miracle that I landed on 4 wheels, because, as I said, the second tree I took off with the ceiling of the car. And later on, what I learned about this bubble is that around our heart creates the electromagnetic field that surrounds us. If we don't love ourselves and others, this electromagnetic field is small and not as strong. When we love, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger and bigger and all around you, and it protects you. So in that car accident, it was my mental state, it was my mindset that I accept any possible outcome. And it was my love that protected me, literally, physically protected me. And I can send you the pictures of the car, and you're gonna be amazed, because the police, when they reported it, they said, we cannot write the truth, because in the law of physics, there are no way that how this turned out and how you described it.
This we didn't prepare for this talk. You didn't share this with me, so I'm blown away. The last person I interviewed as a guest, he's an ice swimmer, and he did a cross from the canal from England to the Netherlands, which is not an icy situation, but the weather got really bad, so any normal person would have gotten out of the water. And 7 hours in the water, he was finished. He couldn't do anymore. But one hand on the boat would mean that your tent was gone. He finished. He found the energy to the mental power to do 5 more hours of swimming, and ended up doing twice the distance because of the waves and the pattern he had to swim. So this is amazing to hear these stories about what you can do with your mind, and it's very inspiring.
Your thoughts are creating your reality. literally. And it's proven by the quantum field, and it's proven that we can affect not only us, but people around us.
I'm reading a book right now. I don't know the title, but it's about taking a moment before you go to sleep and basically asking yourself a question so your mind can keep working on that during the night. Because the mind doesn't go to sleep. The body goes to sleep, but the mind keeps on working and comes up with their own answers. Are you a believer of that? Do you practice that?
I created a whole transformative journey for getting from the linear mindset to the quantum mindset with my new business, Back to Business, Peak Genesis. And I do several techniques, including this one. And in order to even increase the effect of this one, turn your body before you go to sleep and before you ask the question and again in your mind, set your body into alpha state. And there are different ways how to do it. But what the simplest way in bed before you go to sleep is feel 4 points of your body. For example, your palms touching your bed and your feet touching your bed, or any other parts, or your head, whatever. And keep attention and keep focus on 4 points of your body at the same time. Your mind automatically goes into alpha state, and then your request is recorded into subconscious.
That's interesting. Do you envision yourself like a pattern? Are these 4 points, connected with each other?
No, just at the same time, feel
Yeah.
any 4 points of your body, like your legs or your hips or your palms or your head, and try to focus on all 4 of them at the same time. It's going to be hard at the beginning, might be, not necessary.
Yep.
But you will get into this state automatically because, and don't fight the thinking process. If you get off track, don't fight it. In alpha state, everything that comes up for a reason. You might look at your intent and rephrase it to better question when you're in the alpha state. Because when we think from our usual state of busy mind, we might phrase the question wrongly. When we ask and rephrase the question from the alpha state, it's the one that's going to go deep into your subconscious and provide all the information and digest all the information all while you're sleeping. So in the morning or in a dream or in a state before waking up, you might have the answer.
Yeah.
And it's magnificent what our mind can do, because with all our senses, we receive 11 million bits of information every second. Our mind is capable to process only 400 bits of that information in a second. And we produce only 50 bits a second. But on the subconscious, when you work with your subconscious and when you try to merge your subconscious with conscious while finding a solution, you get to this quantum state, quantum mind state, where you see myriads of possibilities and steps to get to them.
Wow. This is beautiful. I think we can talk for hours, and
I warned you.
devote an entire episode on your your childhood near Chernobyl and how you turned it into something for the good, and how it gave you amazing drive to accomplish what you have done until now. That is some very interesting material. But yeah, we have to wrap it up. So thank you very much for being a guest of the show. I still have a lot of thinking to do after what you said and how that relates to some ideas that I've been working on. So I'll definitely get back to you to learn some more. So thank you for your time. And to all the listeners, please, if you have any questions, look out for Natalia. We put her LinkedIn address in the show notes. So thank you.
Thank you
See you
so
next
much
time.
for having me. It's been a pleasure, and we can talk for hours. Because you're such an amazing person. And I, again, thank you for making this podcast for all the people and for the greater good of all. Thank you.